Hi. All right, so this one we're going to talk about respiration a little bit more. Now, if you haven't seen the first clip we put out on respiration, on calibrating the diaphragm and the muscles of inspiration and expiration, correlating those with the brainstem and finding where there's dysfunction, you need to go to our Facebook page and find that clip, because that's the first port of call when you're trying to reset things in an AMN kind of paradigm to do with respiratory patterns. So that would take care of the calibration, reduce the noise out of the system, and try and just get the neurology firing a bit more normally. Basically, that's what we'd be trying to do with that. The next thing, of course, you need to do is actually retrain the breathing patterns. So that can be done consciously, and we would do that by basically encouraging the individual to become more aware of their diaphragm. It's a very, very simple drill. I will show you how to do it. I'm going to need Luke to come and just join me on the mats here, so I can just show you what it looks like as you're cueing someone to find their diaphragm basically when they're breathing. All right, guys, so really, really simple drill. This isn't sort of breaking new frontiers in how to retrain breathing patterns or anything, but it is maybe something that people miss, and it's very, very simple to do this. So once you've calibrated the system via the other video clip I've mentioned, this is how we'd go about it. Now, Luke, actually, just watching him breathe here, has pretty good breathing patterns. There's not a lot of chest movement as he inspires. There's certainly no accessory muscle involvement. There's a lot of diaphragm action, which is what you want. So you want to get the person down, lying on their backs, as long as that's comfortable for them, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And then the first thing you can instruct them to do is that in this drill, they're only allowed to breathe in through the nose. Okay, really important. And then the next thing we're going to teach you also involves only nose breathing. So I'm just going to get a hand, place it on the abdomen, and I'll ask you to take a breath in, first of all, through your nose, and then exhale through your mouth, and a little bit slower through the mouth. And as he exhales, I'm just encouraging all that air to leave the system. So exhale, exhale, keep exhaling, keep exhaling. Good. And then inhale through the nose and lift my hand away. So all I'm doing is providing a little bit of feedback and a little bit of resistance that he can work with in terms of really finding where that diaphragm is and what it feels like to breathe appropriately down into the belly. Okay. So you would do this with someone over anywhere between sort of 10 and 30 breaths, depending on the situation. And I'd want you to actually slow that exhale down a little bit more than you're doing, so kind of go a bit more pursed lips, so inhale, and then really slow that exhale down about 4 times as long as the inhalation. That's good. And then inhale again. And this is what you should be seeing, guys, okay? So you just want to see that the belly domes out when the breath comes in, and as the exhale goes out, that the opposite of that occurs. Okay, really simple drill. The other thing you can do with people, once you've given some sensory awareness of what it feels like to breathe appropriately, because a lot of people are going to be up here, is to send them away with this drill and actually just ask them to get a fairly heavy book, lie down at home and put the book on the abdomen and use that as the feedback. So they have to, when they inhale, they're trying to lift the book, and then when they exhale, they're trying to slowly let the book drop down towards the spine. Okay, so that's 2 parts of working with altered respiratory patterns. First of all is to calibrate the system and get the neurology firing a bit more normally. That's what we see shown on our Facebook page. The next part is some basic sensory awareness of this is how you should be breathing. This is a normal respiratory pattern. And retraining that, once the person's been through that, maybe for anything between 30 and 60 breaths a day, until that just becomes very habitual and is a relaxing thing for them to do, you're making sure you're encouraging them to breathe only in through the nose, and to exhale slowly, having to slow the exhale down as much as possible, breathing out at least 4 times as long as the inhale. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind in terms of the ratios and how long to do it for. The next thing you can recommend to someone, because some people can get through that pretty quick, is to actually recommend that they do some cardio, only breathing through the nose. And it can be a little bit panicky at first. It's something that if people aren't used to and they're used to mouth breathing, especially when they do cardio, it's only the first couple of minutes that feel rough. And then once your body adapts to it, it's just there's a certain effort to it in terms of only breathing through the nose whilst exercising. And the intensity that you're working at can be measured by your ability or not to nose breathe only, okay? So walking around, every time you walk around outside, only breathe through the nose, of course, unless you're having to speak. And we're doing cardio, either very, very light jogging, or maybe a cycling or a stationary bike or something like that is easy for clients to do, and just recommend that they go at a pace that they only breathe through their nose. And it is something you should be able to do. It's a normal thing you should be able to do. They shouldn't be going so hard that they have to breathe through the mouth. It shouldn't be going towards kind of any anaerobic intensity. So that is an excellent way to retrain breathing patterns. It's kind of eccentric training for the diaphragm, and also it really helps to balance the level of gases between CO2 and O2 in the blood, and that's huge for the brain and very important for overall health. And most people will tend to breathe out too much CO2, take in, get oxygen saturated, and it just basically doesn't, the system doesn't work. Basically the hemoglobin can't release the oxygen into the system. So great way to retrain it. It's something to do progressively, and you can kind of mark your the intensity and the duration to work at by your ability or not to maintain nose breathing with cardio. We've also put together a handout which summarizes all of this stuff for you guys completely free, so you can download that from the website. We'll pop a link to it on the Facebook page. So get involved with this with your own training, get involved with your clients, and let us know how you get on.